Hey guys, how you doing? This is Taurus PT111. I want to welcome you back to the channel. And today we're going to be doing an install of some Trijicon night sights on the Taurus PT111 Millennium G2, finished in flat dark earth. And I just want to give you, we'll start off just showing you some of the basic supplies that's going to make this install much easier. Things that you should probably have ready to go before you sit down to do this procedure. First of all, always make sure you got yourself a steaming hot cup of Black Rifle Coffee Company coffee. We've got some Murdered Out blend again today. I'd recommend some sort of a headlamp or a light that you can use to light up the area where the front screw is going to go, because it's going to be kind of cramped quarters to be working in, and if you've got poor eyesight like me, it's something that'll definitely assist in that procedure. Rubbing alcohol, we'll use that to remove the grease and thread locking compound that could be on the threads or underneath the slide, and I tend to leave my slide heavily oiled at times, so I want to make sure I get all that off before I do this install. A couple Q-tips, obviously the night sights. I've got a magnetic tip screwdriver here that'll make it easy to take any screws out that might be kind of fidgety. A pair of tweezers to drop the new screw in just in case we have some problems. Basic screwdriver here just to cover the main torquing of the screw, but you got to be really careful with this front sight when you install it. Okay, just right off the bat, don't over torque the screw. You don't have to go crazy, because if you crack the vial, you've essentially let the tritium gas out, which means no more glowing night sight. And obviously some kind of a surface to work on. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Real quick, one more thing that I forgot. Make sure that you have some blue thread locking compound with you. This actually comes with the night sights when you purchase it, or it comes with the guide rod set. I ordered both of them at the same time, so I don't know which one actually included it, but you want to make sure you have some blue Loctite or some blue thread locking compound sitting around. So there we go, one little addendum to the items that you're going to need. Okay, so the first step is to grab yourself a sip of coffee, because it makes life so much easier. Oh, it's good. All right, and we'll go ahead and get started. Normally I keep around in the chamber with this firearm because it is kept for home defense, but because I just installed that guide rod, I just wanted to let it sit, let it cure before I did any kind of chambering or possible firing with it. I just put that guide rod in a couple days ago. So again, go ahead and release your magazine, clear the slide. No rounds. Okay, we're good to go. Go ahead and just pull back a little bit and pull these two tabs down. Okay, pull the trigger. Slide will come right off. Separate your lower from your upper. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and move on to the next step. Okay, moving right along, let's go ahead and, well, if you take yours apart, you might notice that you don't have a stainless steel guide rod in your particular unit. If you buy this firearm used, okay, chances are it's going to have the original stock stainless steel guide rod in it. Now, everything you see in this video was purchased with my own money or was purchased with funds from the channel, so I'm not being endorsed to talk about these products at all. In fact, I haven't even fired this pistol since I installed this guide rod. This is the stainless steel unit from Lakeline LLC. And it's a really cool aftermarket unit that looks incredibly durable. Really not that hard to assemble. I've got a video on it. You can check it out if you want to. I'll put the video in it at the end of this particular video. Okay, so now let's go ahead and remove the barrel. Okay, now at this point, what you need to do is you need to locate your screw up here in the front. And I can see I've already screwed something up here. No pun intended. This is just a standard screw. And the screw that they give you does have a Phillips head, and so you're going to need to get yourself a regular screwdriver. If you have a magnetic tip one, it'll make things so much easier when you install this, because you can just pull the screw right out. But if you don't, no big deal. So let's go ahead and get our screwdriver, and we'll get this screw removed. Okay guys, so I had to search around for a little bit to find a screwdriver that would work. This screw is a little hard to access, so I went ahead and got myself a real thin screwdriver. And as you start to twist it to unscrew it, your sight's going to move a little bit. So what I highly recommend you do, now you're not going to mess anything up, just grab yourself a nice pair of needle nose pliers, okay? Now trust me, you're not going to grip, you're just going to rest the plier head right here, okay, against the sight, and just flip it over, and basically just hold it in your hand. Okay, don't squeeze, you don't want to squeeze the sights, you don't need to. This is going to prevent those sights from moving as you take them off. So again, just one of those things that'll save you 5 minutes of trying to figure out what you want to do next. Okay, now we're just going to go ahead and unscrew the sight. This is one of those times where I probably should have put the headlight on, but I don't want it to wash out the video for you guys. So screw's coming off. It did take a good little tug to get it to come off initially. And you're going to need a real thin screwdriver, something that can clear the front of the barrel here. They don't give you a lot of room to work with, probably because they don't ever intend you to take these things off in the first place. So, okay, and again, I'm not squeezing so hard on the needle nose pliers that I'm going to leave any kind of marks on the front sight. There we go. Okay, front sight's going to come off. There's a little bit of thread lock on that front sight, which is going to be okay. If you see that on there, it's something that we can definitely clean off easily. There we go. It's your plastic front sight, real simple. And we're going to go ahead and just turn it around. The screw's going to fall out. A little bit of thread lock's going to come off with that too. Now go ahead and hold on to this screw and front sight combo. You never know if you are going to need to put these back on in case you ever have problems with your night sights, or maybe you want to pull off the sights and put them for sale and make a little bit of money back. Okay, we'll go ahead and just set those off to the side. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and move on to cleaning off the front sight area, and then we're going to install the front sight, because we need to have that on before we put the rear sight on, because when you go to put the Loctite down on that rear sight, you want to make sure that you can see exactly where the front sight is. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and move on to cleaning the front. Okay, so just go ahead and put a little bit of rubbing alcohol in the bowl. Now I know a lot of this stuff might seem intuitive to those of you that are firearms owners, those of you that have done stuff like this before, but not everybody may have that experience. So that's why I'm just kind of going through this all, baby steps process for what you got to do. Okay, go and rub off the top. And don't worry, you're not going to damage the finish. It's just going to basically strip the grease off. You just want to make sure you hit it with a little bit of lubricant after you've let the screws settle in and so on. Looks like I've got... and there is some thread locking compound on there, so we're going to kind of scrub it a little bit and see if we can get that off there. We want that as flat as possible. We want the best mating surface we can possibly get. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and flip that over. Just go ahead and wipe out the inside with that wet patch. Okay, got to make sure you get all that oil and grease out of there. This is just going to ensure, you can still wipe this all out when you get done, but we just don't want any oil to seep into those threads and compromise the Loctite whatsoever. Some guys might disagree with me and say, well, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't, you're going to be fine either way. That's fine. If you don't want to do this part, you don't have to. Get a Q-tip, get in there, clean that out of there. I know there's a lot of oil that's probably gotten in there for me cleaning out this gun over the last couple of years. Just going to go ahead and clean that out with the Q-tip. There we go. Okay, now I'm just going to give this a little bit more of a wipe down off camera just to save some time, but you want to make sure you don't have any crud or any residue left over from the previous thread locking compound, and then we will go ahead and install the front sight. Okay guys, so this next part might seem just a little bit annoying, but what we're going to do is, I got the headlight on. It's going to make it easier for me to get this screw in, because this is a part where you don't want to mess up, you don't want to strip any of the threads and so on. Now there is a little dab of blue Loctite already on this screw. I'm going to give it just one more little dab on the other side, and then we're going to put it on and see what happens. If it would start, it would happen to loosen itself off at the range. It's really not that big of a deal. I could easily just take it off and put a little bit more Loctite on it, so on. So just put your little dab right here on the screw. Just a little tiny bit. You don't want to overdo it. Okay. That looks pretty good. In fact, I think we might just touch it up just a smidge here with the Q-tip. There, you kind of push it in the threads a little bit. Okay, now that's going to sit. It's not on there with a lot of strength, but it's just going to sit there for you. Kind of put that off to the side. Again, it's got the magnet on it. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is just take the front sight and just go ahead and push it in the hole. It's going to lock, but it's not going to really stay. It's going to kind of snap into place. Use my left index finger. Now we're just going to initially seat this screw. We're not going to torque it in really hard or anything. We just want to get it kind of settled. Actually, you know what? I think what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and use the tweezers here. Okay. And we'll just drop the screw in the top. Now you got to be very careful. You got that tritium vial in there, and if you happen to crack that vial, the gas is going to come out. So you do not want to over torque this. Okay, so just go ahead and drop the screw into place. There we go. The screw's in there now. Okay, and just take your, let's go ahead and use the regular screwdriver instead. There we go, and just start to seat the screw. Okay, when you get there, okay, stop. And then you can start to make sure that you've got that front sight kind of lined up the way that you want it. Just kind of press with your finger. It is a very tight fit. And I'm just going to put it in until it stops. That's it. Just going to stop right there. Now at this point, what you might want to do is go take the sight here into the bathroom. Okay, you want to make sure that physically it's a little loose. And so we're going to give it just one more torque. I really don't want to overdo it. Don't want to break that vial. Okay, again, you don't want to lose sight here on the front. Okay, that's about, and still moving a little bit. Okay, I'm going to slowly torque it a bit more here and get it how I want it. Again, you want to be really cautious not to break the front sight. Okay. Kind of, yeah, it's pretty good right now, I think. Okay, give it a little more torque. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna just fiddle around with this a little bit off camera. We should be good to go. Yours should go right in. I think you're gonna be okay. I'm gonna get it nice and straight. I'm gonna use some stuff here to hold this front sight in place as I finish up torquing it, and then we'll go ahead and move on to the rear sight. So there you go. But again, don't over torque it. When you get done, like I was saying about the bathroom, you want to go into the bathroom or a dark room and make sure that the front sight still lights up. If it does, you didn't break the vial. If it doesn't, you got some issues. All right, hang tight. Okay guys, so that part's just a little nerve-wracking because you're trying to get the screws seated properly and you want to make sure that they're straight. I've got this as torqued as I comfortably want to torque it, and the front side's not moving, but as you can see, we've got a nice straight install, and again, we still have the factory sights on the rear. Nice clean picture there. Okay. Alright, so now that we have that done, and again, after you run, maybe 100 rounds through, you might want to just kind of check the front side, make sure it's not wiggling. If you got that thread locker on there, you should not have to worry about losing the front side. Of course, that would be the nightmare scenario. So again, I'm pretty impressed with these so far. They look good. Definitely some nice, high-quality enclosures, okay? Alright, so now let's go ahead and move on to the rear sides. Not quite as stressful as the front sides. Alright, here we go. Alright guys, we're going to keep it 100% tactical here, so let's go ahead and take a small regular screwdriver and we're going to go ahead and unscrew the rear sight. This is, if I'm not mistaken, is the only thing keeping the rear plastic side on. This also controls your elevation on the rear sight too. I can already feel it starting to loosen. Good. And you can use, now it is magnetic, we're just going to go ahead and use the tweezers to pull out that screw from the rear. It's a little fidget. There we go. Okay, and you can see that oil that's on there right now too. So we need to get that all cleaned off with a little bit of rubbing alcohol. Make sure you don't get it into that striker channel hole. Okay, you don't want to get a bunch of oil in there or a bunch of alcohol in there. So we're going to soak another cloth and go ahead and just wipe it off. Okay, and again, hopefully this isn't washing out too bad on video, but when you're doing these darker shoots, it's a little bit harder to show off all the fine details. So let's kind of wipe it off. There's 0 thread locking compound left on this, so that's good. So now you won't have any lubricant underneath this, but I don't think you really have to worry about it. You do have a decent protective finish on this PT111 Millennium G2. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get that set up. All right, now we will go ahead and prepare to install the rear sight. One thing you might want to do, just kind of, just as a kind of precautionary tale, make sure that you wipe off the bottom of the new sight in case there's any kind of finish that's left on there that could prevent your incoming thread locker from bonding. Okay, all right, so there we go. We got that all set up, and we'll move on to the next step. Okay guys, you want to make sure that you have your screw available from the previous rear sight. You don't want to throw that away. You can go ahead and put the rear sight off to the side, the old one. You don't need that anymore. Make sure that you absolutely do not get any thread locker in here, this hole, okay, either of these two or down the middle channel. What we're going to do is we're going to put just a thin band of blue thread locking compound. We're going to put your Loctite just essentially right across here, okay? And when we put the rear sight in, it's just going to slide right in. And this sucker is, man, this thing is machined to fit down to the minimum, just down to the millimeter. That's awesome. That's a nice fit. You're going to use the mounting screw that you have to make your minor adjustments. You want to line it up with the front sight, and then just tighten your screw. You don't want to over tighten it. You don't have a lot of material here keeping the screw in. The screw is not the part that keeps the rear sight in place. It's actually going to be the thread locking compound according to the instruction manual. Okay, so let's go ahead and apply a little bit of blue thread locking compound right here. You could apply it directly to the Q-tip if you want to. I'm just going to put a little drop here. Okay, a little drop here. Again, this stuff is fairly runny, so you want to make sure that you don't just get it all over the place when you're using it. Okay, make sure that's staying in focus. And I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of wipe some of that compound across, make a nice little band. This is exactly how they show it in the manual. Let's go right across there. Okay, so your thread locking compound should look something like this. And again, if this, if there should be a problem, if it starts to come off or whatever, you can always go back and take the piece off if you need to. Might have to maybe tap it off with like a rubber dowel. Let's give it just one more little drop here. My cat's going crazy right now. If you guys know the channel, you know about Ammo Cat. She loves to watch me do these kinds of things. I got a little bit on the back there. It's not the end of the world. So, all right, let's go ahead and slide in that slide. Here you go. Kind of rub it across. Make sure that you've got thread locking compound on both surfaces. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and just drop the screw in with my tweezers. Let's go and let that go. And go ahead and just put the screw in there, tighten it up a little bit. Okay, make sure you got your screw nice and straight as you torque it down. Now again, the key here, this screw, it's not the thing that keeps the rear sight in place. Okay, your thread locking compound is the thing. Now that is as tight as it can go. I don't want to overdo it. So now before this stuff settles, and I can already start to feel it settling, I'm going to make an adjustment here with my sights and line up the front and rear sights exactly how I want them. So let's go ahead and check the front. I'm going to hold this up here, guys. I'll be right back. Looks pretty good. Kind of hold it out to a distance there. Here we go. I'm hoping that these are spot on when I take it to the range, because I'd hate to have to try to adjust the windage after I've already got everything locked down. So again, they're a nice straight alignment with the front sight there. Kind of give you a view of that. Okay, if you hear anything falling off, my cat's playing on top of the refrigerator right now. So, okay, and a lot of guys say that basically just the little tiny corners will match up with the edge of the little kind of crescent here on the rear. Okay, then I'm just going to carefully tighten it. Yeah, that would be my cat. I know, Dharma, I know. You want to go play. I'll get the Nerf gun out in a little bit. No, I don't shoot her with the Nerf gun, guys. Calm down. I launch Nerf darts, and she likes to go chasing after him, so... okay, I'm going to torque this down until it basically stops. Now, I don't know if this screw can interfere with the channel where the striker runs. So you want to, if you notice anything weird about the gun, dry fire it at least once after you put these sights on. If you notice anything odd about it, you may need to take that screw up a little bit. Now, we didn't get any thread locking compound in there, so we don't have to worry about that. And again, you don't want to put thread locker on that screw. Okay, we're going to go and check it one more time. And it looks like these are pretty good. We're going to see how accurate they are. Now, when I had the factory sights on here, I had to torque them down. I'm sorry, not torque them down. I had to move them essentially all the way to the left in order to get the gun to shoot straight. So the factory sights are not precise aiming instruments, just so you guys know. Ammo Cat, what are you doing? She's being ornery today. She's not used to me being home during the day. All right, so there we go, guys. Okay, and so essentially your assembly is done. Now it says that you want to make sure that you do not use the firearm for 24 hours. You want to make sure that these, obviously if you need to defend yourself, use your firearm. But I'm not going to take this to the range for a couple days. I want to let this thread locker settle, take it out and see what kind of accuracy we get. And if it would happen to be off for any reason, I'd have to bring the sights back and do some adjustments. So, all right, not bad, guys. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and just reassemble the pistol and operate the slide, make sure that it's good to go, if there's no problems with it, and we will go from there. Okay guys, so when it's all said and done, I think they look pretty sharp on there. They definitely dressed this pistol up. Yes, I know I spent about half the price of the pistol on the sights, but should you really put a price on your life when it comes to making your firearm more efficient than it really is? I would probably say no. And again, these are nice because you could do a one-hand rack if you had to, which I don't plan to do anytime soon, but if I had to, I possibly could. They're fairly sleek, so they will withdraw easily. They've got a nice cut on the rear, and they're either steel or aluminum. Very, very sharp. Those are so cool. I cannot wait to get this to the range. And they do line up perfectly. I took a few straight edges and just kind of lined it up perfectly. It's about as straight as it can be. So if the gun's not shooting straight, it's either me or it could be something about the night sights I didn't do properly. But there you go, guys. And again, I did check for functionality. Okay, we're good. I can feel the fire pin going. There's nothing blocking the rear there because I wasn't sure, 100% sure about that rear screw. So these are definitely worth the price, guys. You can get these from Lakeline LLC, and I'll put the link in the video to these guys so you can go check it out. Got the product in about a week, and again, these were actually purchased for me. These were a 40th birthday present from my mom and my stepdad, my aunt. So I want to thank you all for getting that for me. They also got me the guide rod. You know, they said, well, is there something you could really use, or is there something you need? I said, you know what? I want to dress up one of my favorite pistols, and I really don't want to spend $120 to do so. So they did. So there you go, guys. I'm not going to put any cleaner or anything on this for 24 hours. I don't want to risk having any kind of cleaner breakdown, the thread locking compound, the blue Loctite. You know, me just being overly cautious. I don't want to screw up any part of this process, and that's just kind of how I am. So, all right, guys. So there you go. I want to thank you for watching today. I want to thank you for joining in. Please like or subscribe. And again, there's please check out, I've always got some links here to other channels that I belong to. Make sure you check out Jay Dalton's channel, and there's going to be a link in this video at the end here for you to click on. And he's got some great information on the G2 that you should check out. Does a complete, you know, out of the box kind of overview of the pistol, does a wonderful trigger job on the gun, talks about the gun in general, and really he is the reason why I bought this pistol. I was going off of his advice from an older video. I've been very happy with this firearm so far, and I really look forward to firing it even more. You know, I've been dissed online quite a bit for people because I said I'm a Taurus fan. People call it junk or garbage, and I'm not going to go off on one of my emotional rants again, but 400 to 500 rounds with no issues. I mean, what else? Okay, you need to put thousands of rounds through a gun, you know, before you can really critically rely your life upon it. But if it's fired every time for 500 rounds, and I've said this before, I'm just going to assume that it's going to work when I need it to. Yes, it is a tool. Yes, it can break. Yes, it can have issues. But for right now, it seems to be a solid piece in the collection. So there you go, guys. All right, so again, guys, thank you for watching today. Please like, please subscribe. I want you guys to have fun. I want you to be safe. And hopefully the next video, we'll be seeing you soon from the range with this firearm. We're going to see how well the guide rod performs. We're going to break this in with, I don't know, maybe a couple hundred rounds. It's hard telling. And as always, guys, we will talk to you soon. All right, take care, have fun, have a great weekend. Bye.